Welcome to Off the Coast, where we examine the views from Vancouver Island with your host, Rosemary Barnes. New and exciting things, preserved and respected things, business, recreation, politics, travel, all from the point of view of the people living and working on the island. Rosemary is a professional speaker and certified speaking coach living in historic Ladysmith and loving every day of the island life. Here is your Vancouver Island host, Rosemary.
Yes.
Hello. Good afternoon, if it is afternoon where you are. This is Rosemary Barnes, the host of Off the Coast, Views from Vancouver Island. We're sitting in our lovely paradise here on the island where it's 16 or 17 degrees. Our windows are open and we're enjoying the beauty of spring. All the leaves are out and the birds are chirping, and aren't you jealous yet? Today on our show, I am so excited. I can't wait to hear from Nicolle Nattrass. She is a theatrical whiz kid. Nicolle is so involved in theater on Vancouver Island. She practically teethed on theater. She got her first acting start with Kaleidoscope in Victoria. As a matter of fact, she's so still connected to her very first start. She's teaching a playwriting workshop there coming up soon. She'll tell you about that soon. She does workshops in creative journaling, connecting to the story within you. She's been doing that for a number of years, and people come in droves to her workshops about it. She started writing for the theater in 1998 with her very first woman's show, a one-woman show. In Theatre One, she's in her fourth year of being the artistic associate for the program Emerging Voices. So she's working with young people, and she's working with adults, and she's working with people who are just getting into the theater and finding out who they are. She's associated and supports the kids show in Theatre One. And if there is theater and there is journaling and there are creative juices flowing, you will find Nicolle Nattrass. Welcome to the show, Nicolle.
Wow, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Can you come over every day?
Yes, I can. Nicolle, you are just a great big ball of energy.
Thank you.
We were talking just before the show, and I said to you that if you had 10 minutes to spare, you would try and put 15 minutes worth of something creative in there.
I would. I would. I think being creative every day, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You can be creative in small ways, in big ways, in cooking, in playing, in gardening, any way. It's finding that joy and connection every day that is really, really interesting to me right now.
People don't realize that creativity isn't just to do with art.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't just to do with many of the things that we think of when we think of being creative. You can be creative in all manners of ways. And you have taken your creative thirst into the world of journaling right at the moment.
Mm-hmm. I've always journaled, like ever since I was a little kid. And it just was a way of me getting my thoughts and my feelings out. And, I was really lucky, I think, as a child that I fell in love with reading, and I fell in love with stories like so many kids do. I have a 6-year-old, and I remember the first day I put on an audio tape for him to listen to some story, and he just stood there and stared at the stereo and didn't move for about an hour.
Mm-hmm.
I just love, it's the story that captured me. And so I started journaling, and I got into creative writing, and I was terrible at math. By terrible, I mean completely terrible. And I think it was creative writing that saved me in school. And so I've always journaled, even as an actor. When I am working on a part, I'll have a journal with me. And whatever I've done, And so it just occurred to me that I would like to open up the world of journaling, because I think a lot of people still think like, well, I have to be talented as a journal, as a writer. I have to have good spelling. I have to have perfect sentence structure. And I just really wanted to completely take that out of the equation, with this idea that creative journaling is for everyone.
And people use it as a kind of soul-searching therapy as well, don't they?
They do. And like it used to be, it was this kind of more artistic thing, creative journaling. And the thing about it now is that there's so much scientific research being done on the power of journaling, the power of handwriting, the power of all of that to reduce stress, anxiety, sharpen your mental skills, as well as physical and emotional well-being. So now there's actually the scientific proof that supports the act of writing, which accesses your left brain. And, while that left brain is occupied, your right brain is free to create and feel. It's a really neat combination. And I think we're I'm all for computers. I love computers. I love technology, but I also really appreciate sitting down to be present and to connect. And for me, in whatever I do, whether I'm teaching, whether I'm performing, that is really the key, is being present to connect.
There is so much research being done these days on the right brain, left brain connection.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in order for some people, depending on whether you're a kinesthetic learner or a visual learner or an auditory learner, the trick is to still find a way to internalize it. What is a great teaching method for one person can be torture to another. I had a person tell me that the best way to learn the details of some complicated thing was to write it out. Mm-hmm. And for them, it clearly was. For me, that would be torture.
Right.
But that's not the same as creative journaling.
Yes. And like with creative journaling, it kind of, I really try to steer people away from this idea of, again, essay writing and paragraph writing. And, even some people can find, the morning pages, which, everybody knows about from The Artist's Way. They can find those daunting, right?
Yes.
And so I like the concept of an art journal where sometimes, if I have someone that I'm working with that, just doesn't like writing and it doesn't work for them, that they can use a word or an image or a color or, that kind of thing to access something within themselves. I think it opens it up a little bit more. And that's why, I called the course Creative Journaling.
Is it purely for the act of creating the journal that it's value, or is part of it going back and looking at it later? Or tell me about exactly where people get value out of this.
Well, I think all of the above. Like, it's for the moment. There's such value in it, used as a grounding tool, and being able to go back on it, just like, and seeing where you're at is important too. I teach 3 different creative journaling workshops. One is connecting to the story within you, and that's for regular folk. No experience required. And then I teach a workshop called Creative Journaling Self-Care for Helping Professionals. And that is a workshop which I launched in Toronto last year. And I taught it specifically for counselors, support and relief workers, nurses and doctors. And that's a tool for them to be able to process their jobs and the kind of work that they do. And then I do a 3rd workshop called Creative Journaling, The Promises of Recovery. And I work specifically with those who are in recovery from alcohol and drug addiction.
Wow.
So I've been working on creating these courses for the last 3 years, and I've created 3 different workbooks to go along with the course. And it's kind of been my passion to create this, because I really do believe that journaling can be a powerful healing tool, just a process tool that, we don't have to be attached to, I have to be a famous writer to do this. It really comes down to self-care.
So it's another form of self-care. And
Yeah.
isn't it interesting that in this day and age that self-care is becoming so much more important than it has in the past? Do you have any theories or thoughts about why that might be?
Oh my goodness. Do you have
Well,
10 years?
well,
No.
no, we
Um,
have 55 minutes.
I love that. I think just, the fast pace, we're bred for multitasking now. I mean, I myself am a multitasker, and that's great, but the demands, the daily life demands, etc., can really outweigh the taking care of yourself, like basic things. I think even with our kids, there's more expectation for them. There's more pressure. They're dealing with different things, and self-care is huge, whether you're in a helping profession or not. Like as an artist, I learned that as well. As an actor, it's one of the things when I teach an acting workshop or a writing workshop is I always stress now to the younger actors and younger writers is like the thing that you can control is really taking good care of yourself.
Well, and in years gone by, we didn't when we ran out of chores to do, because in years gone by, play was not a big thing.
Yeah.
There wasn't time to play. It was
Yeah.
work. And if you weren't working, you were not worthy.
Yes.
This sitting around and doing nothing wasn't part of the equation. And
Yeah.
then play started to come into it. And all of a sudden, we started to be able to have a little bit more time to sit and think.
Yeah.
And we really valued that. And then along came and I am with you, the digital age is fantastic, but I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with it. First of all, I'm a technological troglodyte, but secondly, because it takes us away from any chance of absolutely being alone with ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
So,
I think that's a good point because I think that's there's a lot of distraction. There's a lot of things to be distracted by. There's a lot of choices,
mhm,
and so it really comes. And yet, the most important person that is doing all these things in our lives is me, right? So I need to take the
right.
time to get in touch with myself, and I'm also a really big fan of meditation, but I find journaling can be like a meditation in terms of
Yes.
using affirmations and grounding, as well as even when I'm writing a play, I will often journal and, an idea might come out that I use later for a play. I think everything is connected.
Yeah, you're really using the process of writing as a sounding board, as
Hmm.
an inspiration, as a medication,
Hmm.
you're using the act of writing to create the whole person, to soothe and bind and weld the whole person into one.
Yeah. Thank you. That's a beautiful way of saying it.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'll have to write that down.
Okay, okay. Forget it. I don't know what I said. You're going to have to do it by memory. It's- but it's
No,
true.
it's really, it's true.
From what I'm hearing, as I say, you're using it to get the creative juices flowing. You're
Hmm.
also using it for the reflective
Hmm.
portion of what we need to do. And you're using it as the glue that holds the whole person together and an opportunity to get to know yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like that intimacy. That's one thing that I didn't realize for a long time when I was doing these workshops is that that's really what it comes down to is creative journaling is an opportunity to become intimate with yourself. And
So,
I think there's a lot of, as we were saying, a lot of distractions that we may be afraid of that. We may be too busy for that. We may be, yeah, there's stuff that comes up when we are really truthful and really honest with ourselves, but I love that work. And I guess, that's also why I like being in that kind of workshop environment where I can support people to stay with their story and to connect with themselves in a really deep and meaningful way. Like, I love that. I just get so excited.
and people too, or at least I find, but I could be right out in left field. People don't realize that they have incredible stories. They'd never think that, I've never done anything special. Oh, it's just me.
Yep.
It's just a little thing. It's just
And
that. But they don't give credence
yeah,
to the power of their own story.
yeah, it's very true. And ultimately, stories are, we all have stories. We all have a story right now as we're talking. I can have an internal monologue, or when I'm driving in the car, when I'm in the shower in the morning. That's what I call a story. It's like listening to that internal voice. And, stories really are the substance of our lives, because if we didn't have story, Rosemary, think, like, how would we relate to each other?
And that's how the human beings have been as long as we can remember. How do you calm a child? You tell them a story. How do you teach them lessons? You tell them a story. How do you illustrate a point? You tell them a story. How did people amuse themselves before electricity was
Story.
Story.
And like, it's an ancient tradition, right? I think it goes back to 10th century Japan.
Wow.
Just in terms of journaling, and a lot of famous presidents have kept journals. Other obviously famous figures, but I love this. Oscar Wilde, the 19th century playwright, he said about journaling, "I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read on the train."
Oh,
I love it.
Who was that said that?
That was the 19th century playwright Oscar Wilde.
Oh, go Oscar!
I know, go Oscar.
That was an interesting man. That one,
yeah, for sure.
Oscar Wilde. Wow,
and
he was.
I heard one. I was going to throw in just about story being that big, that I've heard one First Nation elder say that without story, we're completely disconnected. Like, we have no way of connecting with each other, and really the most important story that you're living today is your story, right?
Yes.
And so part of the work that I do with creative journaling and with Live Your Best Story Retreat is really just helping people to connect to their story.
So what kind of people come to your workshops in this regard?
To Live Your Best Story workshops, like a diverse range of people. Some people come to the workshop because they're working on personal things. Other people, are working are at a place in their professional development where they're looking to grow. A lot of people come to the workshop thinking, I need something in my life. I need to connect in a deeper way.
So how do you create a program that can speak deeply to all these varied participants?
Well, that's a good question. I think it's about making it accessible, right? And that, it's about making it accessible. And I've had, people who are authors take my class. And that was really interesting, because right away, they wanted to come in with rules about, well, it's not really writing unless you do this and unless you do that. And I guess for me, that's when I had to really step in and say, actually, in my course, there are no rules. Like, you're allowed to write the way you're writing. You're allowed to, write. I hate writing for 3.5 pages.
Yeah.
So it's really about accessibility.
Too. Yeah, it's very hard. Some of us require a lot more structure than other people do for the safety.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's like, sometimes I say, in the workshop that we do on Bowen Island, I'll say, for some of you, this isn't going to work, but, just hold on, because I try to create a diverse range of exercises. Or if, something doesn't work for one person, I change it. And I think that's, for me, the most exciting thing about being a workshop instructor, is about being in the moment and being present and being able to adapt the exercises to individuals rather than to force feed something,
For sure. So you said you have them on Bowen Island.
Well, I'm the story facilitator So I do a lot of creative journaling with the Live Your Best Story team, and we offer a workshop weekend on Bowen Island, and I'm the story facilitator. So a lot of the work that I do is creative journaling.
So how long a workshop is this?
That's a 3-day weekend, and the next one coming up is May 27th, 28th, 29th. I think that's
soon.
it. Yes, and we're on Bowen Island for 3 days, and I work with an amazing team, a Dr. Carolyn Nesbitt, Tina Overbury, Cindy Schreier, and myself, and it's a 3-day retreat workshop weekend for personal and professional development.
Wow.
And I love it. I love being able to meet people where they're at and go, okay, what's going on with your life? And like listen to their story and help to tune into their story to move their story forward in whatever way is best for them.
So you've taken on a bit of a counseling role too.
Yes, I actually do have a certificate in counseling. It was my second career after acting and theater. I ended up volunteering at a women's center in Toronto, and it was a treatment center for women from alcohol and drug addiction, and I became a volunteer there for about a year. And then at the end of my volunteer year, the manager of this particular house, the women's house, said to me, would you like to take some of the courses we're offering because you're rather good at this? And I was like, oh, okay. And so I did my training over a 4-year period.
Okay.
And I earned my certificate as an addiction counselor, CAC level 2. And
wow.
Counseling really has always interested me. You know, even when I was studying theater as an actor, I had a minor in psychology. And I'm really glad that I studied both, because so much about theater has to do with tuning into your own psychology and tuning into a character's psychology, and in a sense, when you're performing, tuning into that group psychology.
Completely. And people who have not participated in a theater production, I don't know if it's the same in movie production, but in theater production, it certainly does become the group vibe.
Oh, yeah, you can feel it, right? Like
yes.
Finished performing in Vancouver. I did Post Secret, the show with TJ Daw, and every single night, different audience, different size, different energy. And, you know, one particular night I came off stage at intermission and I said to my fellow actors, like, this audience is laughing a lot, but they really want to cry. And the other actors turned to me and they were like, yeah, and sure, they were like, you're so right. I felt that too. And in the second act, that audience cried so much.
Wow. So
it was incredible.
You're that's what makes you a good counselor as well, is you're really empathetic.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, you're a bit of an empath when you can pick up the vibe from people that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, you know, and as an actor that you learn that, right? You learn to kind of absorb and sit in someone's story. And I love that. I love meeting someone and kind of just sitting in their story and listening, you know. Listening is a big gift.
In theater, it certainly is, and that's for true. And it is in real life even more so. Even more so. So you've mentioned Toronto a couple of times.
Yeah.
When did you find your way over to our little rock here?
Well, I have to say I am a very proud graduate of the University of Victoria in 1991. And so I was in Victoria for a number of years, and I had my first role with Kaleidoscope Theatre. I played Charlotte Bronte in their Canadian production premiere of The Brontes.
Wow.
I was in Vancouver for a long time, and then I moved to Toronto in 2000, and I returned in 2007 and to the island. My parents have always lived in Lantsville, and throughout the whole time I was at U of Ic. And we were originally only going to spend a year here, my husband and I, from Toronto. And we found this great rental house down the road from my parents. And, well, we're still here.
And the island got you.
The island, yes. And in 2009, I was pregnant, and that was a wonderful blessing. And so it just, for me, it was just a wonderful place to raise a child. I couldn't imagine going back to the big city at that particular time.
Right.
I really loved it here.
And it all happens for a reason. It all happens for a reason. So,
and my husband was in Toronto for 16 years, so it was a very big move for him. But I think the night that we fell asleep here, we had no furniture yet because the moving van hadn't arrived. So we were sleeping on an air mattress, and he woke up in the middle of the night because he heard this sound. Oh, 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 oh. And he said, "What's that?" And I said, "Those are seals, my darling." And he was like, "No way." And I said, "Yeah." And that was it for him. He fell in love.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I had the incredible opportunity to go do a workshop in very close to Nicolle on our west coast. I woke up far too early in the morning for sane people to be up, but the beach called me, and I went down to the beach. And the water was, of course, the tide was doing its thing. The sky was blue. There was diamonds dancing on the water. The sound of the seals was really clear. And then I looked up, and a couple of bald eagles were darting about and floating around in the thermal currents. It was exquisite.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And so it's worthwhile getting up early sometimes in this beautiful place.
It is, yeah.
Anyway, so we are. So you have so many things on the go here in Vancouver Island. Let's list them off. You are a creative journaling guru and workshop leader, and you are a playwright.
I am.
Tell us about that. And an actor.
Well,
yes.
I am right now. I'm doing a Kickstarter campaign to take my new one-woman play to the next level. And I had a premiere of Mamahood Turn and Face the Strange. That's my new one-woman show. I had a premiere last year in March here in Nanaimo. And I'm looking at remounting it in Vancouver at the Havana Theater on June 18th. And so I'm working with director TJ Daw, who is a really amazing actor, playwright, director, who has probably done, I don't know, I'm probably going to quote him wrong, but at least 16 solo shows.
Yes.
He's really incredible. And so it's a real privilege to be able to work with him. So I'm doing that on June 18th. And and I'm a member of the Playwrights Guild of Canada. I've been a member since 2000. So I guess that's like 16 years already. Wow.
Wow.
And I've written a number of plays. A couple of them were commissioned through the Chemainus Theatre Festival and produced in professional productions there. And right now my heart is telling me I need to perform and tour my new one-woman show.
So tell us a little bit about the show, if you can, without the spoiler alerts going off.
Yeah, it's about a 40-something-year-old mom who's a new mom, and she dares to tell the tale of her journey into another planet, an alternate time and space, and that is planet motherhood. I call it planet mamahood. And it's a funny show, but also very poignant moments, and it sheds light on postpartum depression as well as something that is not spoken about, and that is postpartum traumatic stress disorder. So yes. PTSD symptoms that can happen sometimes for women who have difficult births.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so it's a 75-minute show, 75-minute long, and I did a reading of it last November in Vancouver. The director of Pacific Postpartum Depression Society in Vancouver came with some of her staff, and it was an incredible reading, and now they're on board with me, and they want to, whenever I do my show, they want to come and take part in a question and answer period after the show, and provide, pamphlets and support community resources for women who come to see the show. So it's really exciting that there's that piece to it.
That is very strong. That is very strong. So not only are you giving voice to so many women who are suffering without understanding, so not only are you an outlet for their voice, but then you're also offering them some solutions as well. That's amazing.
I feel it's really important to be a responsible artist, and that I believe I have a responsibility to offer people solutions, and that it's not just about me, it's bigger than me. And for me in particular, I think at this particular time, I've seen a lot of people do Kickstarter campaigns and crowdfunding, and this is the first time I've ever done that. And I think the reason why I'm doing it this time is because I really, really believe that how we care for women and how we care for their children is so, so important. And there's just something about being able to support women, especially a lot of people don't know that women who have had sexual violence or abuse, the birth experience for them can be very, very difficult.
My goodness. I'd never thought of that. That is,
that's what, for me, I just was like, I really want to bring awareness to that, because I think there is awareness about postpartum depression, but there also needs to be greater awareness for our caregivers who are nurses and doctors and midwives and doulas, to make sure that we take special care of those women.
And how wonderful that, you very often you can go to a deeply unsettling performance that gives you the opportunity to really look at your emotions and your reactions to difficult situations, but they leave you raw.
Yeah.
They leave you so you open up to this experience and you identify with it, and then you're left lying there, open and bleeding, and so that you then have a way of an opportunity to heal before you go back out into the world is so fabulous.
Yeah, I think we have a responsibility as artists to be just really respectful of people's vulnerability, and that we need to provide that support. So the fact that the director of Pacific Postpartum Depression Society is on board and she has staff is just great, because a lot of women still feel very isolated in the early days of motherhood, and they're going through a lot of different changes, and just to be able to have that support is really important. So I'm excited about that. And as a couple hours ago, I have raised $710.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I need to get to $1,650 in order to make my goal, but I'm 40% there, so I'm pretty excited.
That's great. And how are you doing this?
Just through the Kickstarter campaign. If you go to Kickstarter, you can Google Mamahood Turn and Face the Strange, and you'll see all the information about the project that's up there. And
so say the name of where they should go again.
It's Kickstarter campaign, and my show is Mamahood Turn and Face the Strange.
That's such a great title.
Titles
are so important.
It's an ode to David Bowie. My show has all David Bowie soundtrack, because that was my inspiration, and my husband's a sound designer, so we just went crazy with the David Bowie references. But it's a lot of fun, but there is also a real serious message, and like anything, I want to have a positive impact. And I guess in the light of the last couple weeks, the news of a certain famous Canadian being acquitted, it made me light some fire underneath this Kickstarter campaign, because I really think we need to be able to support women in this world.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Does a little birdie told me that you're writing a book.
Well,
Does
I'm
your
trying.
book have anything to do with these kinds of topics?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Then tell us about the book.
Well, I'm trying to I'm trying to get a sample chapter together because my goal is for my creative journaling workbooks. I mean, I have an e-workbook now
Yes.
of 40 pages, and I would love to see it published into an actual creative journaling workbook.
Ah,
So that's what I'm working on.
okay.
Yeah.
Sounds easy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sounds easy. Just take
Sounds
what you
easy.
got and put it on the real world. Ah, the
Yeah,
world of publishing is a little complicated.
it is. It is. But
Not to mention expensive.
yes. So that's in the works. And when my free time, it's always percolating the creative journaling stuff and writing about story. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's part of your soul,
I
isn't
think
it?
so.
This story,
Yeah.
it comes out and manifests in a number of ways. So that's going to happen in Vancouver in June, you said?
Yeah. June 18th at the Havana Theater.
There we go. So, and in May on Bowen Island, you've
Yeah.
got the
May 27th. Let me just check. 27th, 28th, 29th is Live Your Best Story Retreat Workshop Weekend on
great.
Bowen Island.
And are you doing anything on Vancouver Island?
I am on this coming weekend, actually, on Saturday. I'm really excited to be part of the Gabriola Isle of the Arts Festival on Gabriola Island. So I'm doing a
Wow.
creative journaling workshop from 10 to 2 p.m. I think there are still a few spots available for that workshop. It's a 5-hour workshop, so it's kind of an introduction workshop
Hmm.
to creative journaling, and that's the first time that I've ever taught for this particular festival. So I'm really excited about that. That's on Saturday from 10 to 2 on Gabriola. And then May 14th and 15th, I'm teaching in Victoria for Kaleidoscope Theater, and it's for youth. I'm teaching 8 to 16-year-olds, I think. And it's a really exciting weekend. It's called a playwriting blitz weekend, and I get to work with kids, and we do a blitz about playwriting, and by the end of the weekend, they have to have written a play.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
So
when they come, do they come that, because this sounds really interesting. Do they come already armed with an idea, or do they
we
come
hope so.
open-minded?
We hope so, but sometimes not. Sometimes
Yeah.
we are starting from absolute scratch. And so on the weekend, we might come out with 6 scenes, not a whole play written. That's okay. It's still amazing. Other people will, have an idea and they just want to work on their own. And my job is to be flexible and adaptable, as a dramaturge and try to help them as much as possible wherever they're at.
Some of our listeners may not understand what a dramaturge is.
Yes.
Perhaps take a moment and explain the complexities and the differences between writing a book and writing a play.
Oh dear, that's a lot.
Okay, in 30 words or less.
Dramaturge is like it's someone who guides a playwright when they're writing a play, and someone who helps them along a sounding board, who gives them notes about structure, asks questions for clarity. And for me, when I work as a dramaturge, it's really about listening to the writer to find out, like, if Rosemarie was writing a play, what is your vision, Rosemarie? And then it's not about me imposing my vision on Rosemarie's play, but it's about me listening to actually what her vision is and helping her in every way possible to make that vision concrete.
So, a writing mentor.
Yeah.
Does it also have anything to do with making sure the details for the time period are right?
Yes, of course. All the research to provide research and, historical accuracy to a play, all that for sure
Right,
is involved
right.
as well.
Well, and you've got 8 to 16-year-olds who may have the idea that writing about a period they haven't lived in might be fun. And of course, they know nothing about what it
Exactly.
was like in Victorian England.
Yes.
So do you encourage them to write about in the current about situations they've actually had something to do with, or do you take them completely into the world of fantasy where it can all be made up? I mean, how do
I
you
let
handle
them
it?
choose. I let them choose what is their passion. So if
Okay.
one of them came and said, "No, I want to write," in Star Trek time, or I, I would go with whatever is their wow. Whatever is
Okay.
delicious to them, I would go there. Um, yeah. And sometimes it's tricky. Sometimes you have to get past a lot of different ideas, right? Before you find the idea that's really going to have some legs and a heart and a story.
There's when the biggest problem with speakers is that they try and cram too much into a presentation. Do you
Yes.
find that when they're writing that they try and mash too much in and complicate it unduly?
Oh, yeah. And so do I.
Yeah.
So do I. That's why I have, when I work with TJ, he's a dramaturge as well as my director. And, he'll say, okay, Nicolle, this is very much writer-ish, and
Yes.
because now I'm performing it. And so let's just say it in an easier way. I'll be like, yeah, you're right. It's a little poetic. Um,
People don't
writers
talk
tend
like that.
writers tend to overwrite, and overwriting is not as easy because you can cut stuff, but underwriting is really tough when you work with someone who is underwriting a play.
And you have to get some details out of them and
Yeah.
actually get the sense of the emotion and the taste of the apple, etc. But by the same token, we get married to our words. We fall in
Hmm.
love with our written words,
Yes.
and cutting them is
It's
like
hard.
asking us to rip off our fingernail.
Yeah.
And especially for 8 to 16-year-olds, they finally
Hmm.
managed to get the contents of their brain out on a piece of paper, and now
Yeah.
we're saying, yes, that's really good. Let's put this over here for a different story. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
very hard,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
hard to do. What
But
do you
part of the
do? Part of the process.
part of the
How do you
process.
convince them that they shouldn't have a wagon train and a rocket ship in the same scene?
I bring them chocolates.
Oh, lovely. I'm all for bribery. All for bribery. It works.
No, I don't know. I just feel like at that age, it's such a fine line, right? Because you really want to support and just encourage that creativity. And I know I've kept all my creative writing projects for when I was in grade 5,
Goodness,
and
you must
some
have
of
a
them
very large home.
I'm telling you are really sad, but I'm really grateful that that teacher gave me like a B plus. Because there was that creative outlet that had someone said, "Oh, this is this and this isn't this," and I would have went, "Well, okay, I'm not doing it then." So it's always like, how do you give that positive criticism without shutting someone down?
Very tricky.
You know?
Very tricky. It's almost like talking to an actor.
Yeah, yeah. And like part of the work that I do with Theater One as artistic associate dramaturg is that when I choose, 3 plays a year for emerging voice series, and I work with the new playwrights, and I have to, be able to give them notes, and I like to prepare them before they go into a workshop process with actors, so that, they don't feel like they're being criticized. It's about building a relationship of trust, I think.
It is so true, especially when you're working with anything to do with the creative side of people. You have to create a safe environment.
Hmm.
When I was teaching theater, I always thought that if I was going to make them quack like a duck, they had to know it was safe to do so,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And journaling must be the same thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
To make
And
sure that
people
it's
have,
safe.
memories of teachers spreading red marks all over their paper, right? And, oh, I can't spell, and, oh, I can't do this. And so we tend to be really self-critical, you know?
Oh, the things we say to ourselves, we wouldn't say to another living, breathing person on this earth.
That's right.
We are cruel to ourselves.
Yeah.
So you've got 4 projects within the next 2.5 months.
Yes. Yeah. I'm also on the board of directors for the Nanaimo Fringe, which is very exciting. And I just want to say something about that before I
Oh,
forget,
please.
because we're hiring, and I'm very excited to be on the board of directors. It's the 6th year, I believe, of Nanaimo Fringe coming this summer. And we're hiring a GM for the position. We're hiring a new person, which is great. And so if anyone's interested to check out Nanaimo Fringe, Google us and you'll find some information about it. But it's really exciting.
Just very generally, what do you generally want the general manager to generally do?
To be amazing. To be experienced in a festival, putting on a festival. Obviously to be experienced with media and PR and, theater and running a festival, being able to be competent in those areas, is really, really important. And also someone who has got, some innovative ideas about, getting audiences out. Our
Yes.
numbers of attendance, every year are growing, but it's slower. And so it's, somebody who has both artistic, communication, and business skills,
So super manager.
Yeah. And being able to manage staff and in a positive way, organization, all of those things are important.
So for someone with the right interests, this is a dream job.
For sure. It's lots of opportunity to grow and develop and, support Nanaimo Fringe artists.
It sounds like a spectacular opportunity. I'm sure you're going to be covered in people wanting to participate. So, and they should go to where again?
Nanaimo Fringe. They can Google us, nanaimofringe.ca or .com. I'm not sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, if they don't find it in one, they'll find it in another.
For sure.
All right. Now you've got me really confused here. Okay.
Okay.
So you are an actor.
Mm-hmm. Playwright.
And a playwright.
Mm-hmm.
And you are the creative journaling guru, and you're on the board of the Nanaimo Fringe. And you're a member of the Playwrights Guild.
Yeah.
And wait, I'm running out of fingers.
And I'm a mom.
And you're a mom.
I am. Most
Lucky
importantly,
kids.
I'm a mom.
Lucky
Just
kids.
one. Yeah.
Just one lucky
Just
child.
one. Yeah.
Lucky child. And so are you encouraging your child to become involved in theater?
No.
Why not?
No, I have to tell you, you'll appreciate this, Rosemary.
Okay.
He took a drama class through our school.
Yes.
And the teacher was teaching, and I've of course overheard this, but she was doing a great job. But he came out and told me, or apparently he told her, that wasn't drama.
Oh dear.
That wasn't drama at all, and it wasn't theater.
Oh my goodness.
So I think he already knows a lot about theater and drama.
A drama teacher's worst nightmare.
I was like, oh no. No, he does love stories though, and he loves to talk like his mom. And I'm very proud to say, is in grade 1, but he's reading at grade level 3.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and you see, that's exposure to the written word, right?
Yeah.
And knowing the value of sitting in your chair, never leaving your chair, and going on a vacation. Mm-hmm. With the words that are in front of you, right? Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Yep. So this is extraordinary to me that you can be so involved so deeply in so many projects and still and be a mom, which is a full-time job unto itself. Mm-hmm. Do I take it that creative journaling is your outlet for all of this? That this is your... Where do you get relief?
It isn't as much as it used to be. My creative outlet right now is boot camp.
Boot camp.
Yes.
Okay.
I absolutely love boot camp. It's very odd that I love it because I've never been a huge exercise jock type person, but there's something about that stress release for me has to be physical, so I need a boot camp. And then I like to do an art journal, and actually my son and I often will sit at the table and I have my side of the page and he has his side of the page, and sometimes we'll just doodle.
What do you think about these adult coloring books that are all the rage?
I love that they are all the rage, but for me, they seem too, I love Rhonda's book. I can't pronounce her last name, but I love Rhonda's book. Yes.
Rhonda Abdurman, yeah.
Abdurman, because she actually gave me a copy of her book, and I love it because there's variety, but I don't like the ones where you have to color in the lines. Like I like Rhonda's book because you can do it's just so playful and you can do whatever you want and there are no rules. So I kind of like the no rules.
We're getting that flavor of you, yes, Nicolle. We are. We don't have rules in writing, and we don't have rules in coloring, and we don't have rules. Am I getting?
But I do have. I do have personal rules in my life, but I think creativity. We need boundaries sometimes and guidelines, but I think rules are, they're limiting, right?
I agree with you. I'm thoroughly on the page, but then, one theater geek to another, we need the creative juices to flow freely, right?
Yes, in a structured kind of way.
Yes. So we've got you all figured out and you're as busy as anything I can imagine. What's up for you for after the end of June?
Well, I'm going to Salmon Arm. I'm very excited. I'm going to Salmon Arm. They have a little festival called Theater on the Edge. It's kind of like I think it's their second year in a row. And they've actually invited me. I'm going on a Canada Council for the Playwright reading program. So I'm taking Mamahood and I'm doing a reading there to help promote their festival.
That's spectacular.
And I'm taking this summer off. By off, I mean I'm reading a whole bunch of plays because Emerging Voices, I will be making selections for the coming season, possibly by August. So I'll be reading plays this summer. I'll be going to boot camp. I'll be spending a lot of time at the beach with my son and working to tour my show, Mamahood Turn and Face the Strange, because my goal with that show is I want to take it to hospitals and auditoriums, and I want to take it to UBC, the midwife program. And so I want to branch out and really see if I can get a tour going to the places where caregivers and other people can hear the message of this show.
That's great. So your summer is going to be one of research and development.
Mm-hmm. And
That's
play.
Perfect. And play.
Yeah, because we'll be at the beach and at Westwood Lake, and there's so many places that I want to go to. I haven't been to Denman Island yet, Hornby Island, Spider Lake. I don't know if you've been there yet, but there's some beautiful places to go here.
We never vacation at home.
Really?
We never vacation at home.
We're staying home this summer to vacation.
That's perfect. That's perfect. We're always tending to the grass is greener elsewhere. And how rarely do we actually stay at home and really see what tourists see when they come here, right?
Yeah, and I mean, Tofino, right? There's Tofino, there's so much. And Victoria, my husband's working on a show at the Belfry, and so it's also an opportunity for us to go on. I love Beacon Hill Children's Petting Zoo.
Yes.
So fun. They have the bug zoo there. Super fun.
Is he going to be able to take a good portion of the summer off with you?
I'm not sure. We'll have to see because, we'll see what comes work-wise. We're both self-employed, so There are benefits to that.
Yep. So what does it mean to you? You've moved from Toronto, and now you're on Vancouver Island. And you're speaking to audiences that need to hear your message. Is it nice to come back home to Vancouver Island?
It is. It is so nice. I'm in Little Lanceville, which, is little and cute, and it's just so peaceful here, and it gives me it makes my life simpler. I do have a busy life. We do work hard, and to me, it's an oasis. It's where I get to sleep peacefully, restfully at night, near the ocean air. It's the best place to be.
It's an amazing place, and if you are a creative person, where better than by sitting on the beach in Parksville or Long Beach or any of the innumerable beaches. Listen to the sound of the water. Listen to the sound of the sea lions and the eagles, and just let the creative juices start to percolate along with that bubbling water, right? It's now for others, of course, the hustle and bustle of the city would give rise to other creative juices.
And the great thing about being here is that we can go get that. Like I spent 4 weeks in Vancouver, or I'll go back to Toronto happily and love that, and then I get to come home.
Yes. And as Vancouver Island is such a great place for kids to. I mean, you can go skiing in the morning and surfing in the afternoon, and then out for a sumptuous meal, and then back home to the cozy beds. Right?
Yeah, it's the best.
So, where do you see yourself in? I don't know, 10 years.
10 years, I will be...
Or thereabouts.
Fit, healthy, strong, vibrant. Only adjectives really are coming to me. Happy.
With a 16-year-old son.
With a 16-year-old son. Oh, it's going to be exciting.
Yes, it is. Do you see yourself still being here?
Yeah, I mean, we'll either be here or Victoria. We've always, I lived in Victoria for a number of years, so I love it there. It depends on where his schooling will be and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, but I would say on the island, sure, either here or Victoria. And I know that I want to be more of a professional workshop instructor. I know that I will be teaching workshops, probably personal, professional, and corporate. And, I may even dabble back into addiction and mental health for a bit, using my creative skills, because now I feel like I can marry my creative skills with my certification.
Of course you can.
And maybe I'll have a couple of books. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe. The sky's the limit for you, Nicolle.
That's it.
And the people that come in contact with you are the better for it, because you can provide them the safe haven for their own creations to breathe life and free themselves through that means. So, Nicolle, it has been just so exciting. I'm so glad to have had you on the show. You are a one in a million, and
thank you.
The world is lucky to have people like you, and we have you right here on Vancouver Island with us. So we are grateful to you and all the effort that you're putting into these things for us.
Thank you so much for having me, Rosemary. And I love your show and Bold radio station. I think it's just wonderful that you're doing this and showcasing Vancouver Island.
Thank you for being on the show, Nicolle. Ladies and gentlemen, that's just about it for today's show. Next week, my guest is going to be Tasia Kaler. Tasia is a former stewardess, a former model, a runway model, and she is teaching confidence to women, how to walk the talk and own the room. And on a whim, she bought a bed and breakfast right here on Vancouver Island in Departure Bay, and she has created with all this knowledge, this worldwide knowledge of runways and models and airplanes and jet setting. And now she's combined all that into creating one of the finest B&Bs on Vancouver Island. So we're looking forward to having her next week. For now, this is Rosemary Barnes, the Maverick Voice at Confident Stages, wishing you all the best from Vancouver Island and off the coast, and I look forward to having you back next week at 2:00 on Wednesday. Bye-bye now.
Thank you for listening to Off the Coast, Views from Vancouver Island, with host Rosemary Barnes. To book Rosemary as a speaker or speaking coach, or to offer suggestions of extraordinary guests for the show, please visit her website at www.confidentstages.com.